It's gonna pick us up for a second here.
That's cool. Well,
Oscar the pledge.
you need your docs? Let her get her doc.
Okay, can you all start the meeting with the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Public comments,
Mark.
Mark, do you have any public comments, please?
We do not have any public comment.
board member comments, correspondence. Ready? Okay, reports, discussion and informational only. We'll start with the student report, which we will skip this time. Financial report from Josh.
No financial reports right now.
Okay, did you say why?
It's just, the first of the year for them is August, so they're getting everything ready for August.
Okay, so nothing for July.
Right. We don't normally have it July, so.
Okay. Did they know we were having this meeting? Teacher report will skip, so it's not here. Melanie,
I have a reminder that if you haven't filed
Oh.
7.
so sorry to interrupt, but parents are saying there's no streaming on YouTube. You know,
It shows people are watching it.
is it on?
As I can tell.
Then we can just go.
I'm gonna try to get it on.
No, it says it's live streaming.
Does it show like, give it counter or whatever?
It says 2 are watching the live stream that started 24 minutes ago, which matches up. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Thanks for checking.
Okay, just a reminder, if you haven't filed your 700 form, I'm still getting emails that it's not completed for some of the board members. And for the current enrollment, this is the most recent updates for new applications, as well as the re-enrollments. Some of the numbers have fluctuated for both re-enrollment and new applications. First grade is still the same, 8 students for re-enrollment. Second grade is at 19, third grade is at 18, fourth, fifth is at 20, sixth grade is at 22, seventh grade is at 20, and then 8th grade is at 24. For new applications, kinder is at 29, first grade is at 15, second grade is at 11, third grade is at 12, fourth grade is at 10, fifth grade is at 10, sixth grade is at 8, seventh grade is at 9. And then 8th grade is closed. Which brings our total enrollment for kinder, it's 30 students, first grade is 23, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth are full, putting us at 30. And 7th is at 29 and 8th grade is at 24. And there are students on the wait list now for kinder dropped. And now we have students on the wait list for second, fourth, fifth, and 6th grade.
Awesome. Good news.
Yeah, it looks good. Any questions?
I guess this is probably a question for both of you guys, but do we have a feeling sort of where we got most of the new interest, you know, like which, was it from marketing?
I think it's from
current
marketing. When we started running the marketing ads, we were at the low 230s or something around that range. Then in early July, I asked her to pump me a report just to see where we were, and we'd uptick maybe like 6 or 7 kids, and since then we've added like another 10. So marketing has been going on that whole time. So my assumption is that that's where it's come from. They're able to tell us what kind of traffic they've driven to us and who's at least clicked on the application button. And I'm supposed to have that meeting for that report here pretty soon, so I should be able to give a little bit more insight into that at the next board meeting. But it does seem like it's driven from that place, and you know, the goal was to kind of utilize this grant to our marketing so that way would be sustainable budget, and it looks like that plan is currently working.
Awesome. And don't we have a question on the app that says, where did you hear about the school? I think, it seems like everything that you fill out has.
I don't know the answer to that question. I was
Okay,
looking
maybe
at,
that's
I think so, but I don't.
Maybe that's something.
I don't go
that-
through the-
That question never, that just popped in my head. So.
It normally does.
Yeah, I think on School Minute does, but I don't know, is it drop down box or you type it in? That's what I don't know.
I think it's like a, yeah, check, yes or no.
Yeah,
Cause that would be interesting to see, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And how are the new, family meetings?
they're going great. I actually have, Mr. Watts is gonna talk about it on my report. He's gonna discuss a little bit of it. I thought he'd be a good person. He sat in all but 2 of those meetings with me, so.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Real estate, Mark?
Some good news,
Mark, I don't think we're supposed to update anything.
okay?
I don't know if you remember that or not. That was like, they wanted us not to update in those areas.
Oh, no, I didn't get that message.
Yeah.
Okay,
We have positive news on the front, but we are still working through some things to make sure that we're moving there. So we don't want to publicly put anything out just yet.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry, Mark. I saw your face and heard it and I was like, oh, I gotta like.
Okay, board discussion, policy on 8th grade enrollment. I'm not, yeah, but I'm not really sure. We need to just create a policy to update that we have the ability to close enrollment as we choose, as we see fit in 8th grade and potentially other grades as needed,
And that's not in the policy today.
not currently.
Correct.
So we will draft something up, pass it through legal and present it to the board.
Cool.
All right, Parent Foundation report, I think Dell is traveling. Did she give anything?
She did not. I met with her this last week, really. There wasn't any report or anything like that. That's why I set the meetings.
Okay, principal report.
So on my principal report, A and B are with Mr. Watts. So I'm gonna have him present A and B. The first one is the LCAP presentation, which is some work that was kind of sent back to us from the district, just saying that there was a piece of the LCAP that we had not completed that still needs to go through the board. So Turner worked on that, got it updated. It's very minor, but he's gonna introduce that. And then he's gonna go over, talk about the new family meetings that we've been having, just to kind of give an update, because he's been there with me, like I said, all but 2, so.
Yeah, so the one of the reasons, the reason that this wasn't done at the June meeting was because it's new. It wasn't something that has been required before. But essentially, it's just a report on how we as a school lived up to our goals that we had for the 2023-24 LCAP. So moving forward, at the end of the year, alongside the next year's LCAP, I'll be presenting the annual update, which is what I'm doing right now. So ideally, this would have been done, presented and passed the June meeting. So that's why we're doing it today. But I think it got shared with everyone, but it's all we have 4 goals from the last year's LCAP. and for each goal, the first couple of pages, you'll see the measures and the metrics for all 3 years. And what I really worked on was just the starting on page 3 for goal number 1. There are 3 questions that I had to answer for each goal. The first question was providing a description of the goal and how the implementation was carried out. Second question for each one is
Could you stand up?
No, you're fine. You can keep going. You can stand up or not.
the second question is asked, were there any differences between the what we budgeted and then the actual expenditures that we carried out? The third question I asked to explain if the goals were effective or ineffective, and then finally a description of any changes made to the plan goal, including metrics, outcomes, etc. Just really the only thing that was changed or was not carried out as planned, so I'll just cut to that, would be on page 18, the very back. I had to make a change to goal number 4 for the upcoming year. So it said any changes made to the plan, goal, metrics, desired outcomes, or actions for the coming year, which would be the LCAP that we already passed. So in a minute, I'm going to be asking that we make an update to goal number 4. And that would be the only changes that we need to make based on reflection of the previous year's LCAP. And that change comes from San Diego Unified pointed out that we because we were in the red on our absenteeism, our chronic absenteeism, and this goes back, it's about a year behind. So this goes back not last year, but the year before, because it shows up on the California school dashboard. I would note that we have corrected this problem. That is not the case. We are no longer in the red for last year, but it's showing that we are right now. So we need to show in our LCAP that we are taking action for being in the red. So what I did, the second paper that I passed out for goal number 4, if you go to line item 4.4, all the way in the back, page 21, I added an action item that we are going to use various means of incentivizing students to come to school on a daily basis through school-directed incentive program. So this could be things like having a class pizza party. This could be things like giving out awards for students who have perfect attendance. And the funds we allocated to that was about $500 to deal with things like a pizza party or something like that. So purposely, we didn't go too specific because that gives us room to, you know, if
We can create whatever incentive
yeah,
we want.
we can create, you know, whatever, exactly. So that, by my understanding, covers us for that being in the red. And again, I really want to emphasize that we are no longer in the red, but we are moving forward, have to include that for the remainder of this LCAP cycle, which is 3 years. So we will always have that item in there, okay? So that was a really quick overview of the 2 things that I'm going to be asking that we pass the annual update for the 2023-24 LCAP, and then a revision to goal number 4, adding action item 4.4 to the 2024-25 LCAP. Questions? Yes.
On metric 4.4, 4.8, saying that we're gonna try to maintain a suspension rate and maintain expulsion rate less than. Is that, putting that as the target, is that gonna limit us to what we're able to do if behavior justifies student actions?
It's just a target, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's, we always want to shoot for that. I don't think that we can, you know, look out and say we're going to have a suspension. This is exactly where we want to shoot for, is to have no suspension.
Right, but that won't box us in if circumstances call for those situations.
Well, I think that if we were to not meet that, we could explain why that is, would be something that we would need to explain. But I don't think we should be presenting that we are, not shooting for 0 on this particular.
So it's not a forced limit.
It's no,
It's something-
what our
It's a
goal
goal.
is.
Given that goal, if we break the goal, we'll have to explain why we broke
Exactly.
it.
And that's exactly what I wanted to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up to fail. It's not a goal, it's just what we're trying to,
It's a metric.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what we're trying to shoot for.
okay,
And if we were to not meet that, in this case, we did meet that for the previous year, and we would have it, it would be explained in why we did not.
okay.
Any other questions on item A, the LCAP? We talk about new family meetings?
Yeah, so,
So
yes.
sorry, one last question on metric 4.1, did we do a parent survey last year, or the last school year?
we did.
Okay.
We worked with the LCAP committee to create it, it was towards the end of the year, but
So who was surveyed?
we surveyed parents, teachers and students, starting in third grade.
Oh, it wasn't like a mass survey for all parents, it was just select few.
No, it
It was
was
for
for mass
everyone.
for
We
all
didn't get-
parents. It was
we didn't
just
get-
3rd through 8th grade kids.
Yeah, just third three. We didn't get a great response for the survey, I would say,
I
but
don't remember.
I was gonna, that's why I'm asking, because I don't remember seeing it. I remember maybe a few years, 2 years ago, there was a survey sent out to all parents. I saw that one, and that's why I asked, because I didn't remember.
Yeah, I didn't, how was it circulated?
It was sent in my newsletter.
Sent to the
and,
newsletter.
I think we also pushed it through teachers, didn't we? I don't know the answer to that as I'm sitting here, but I think we.
I can't speak to teachers put it out. I know that I did, but
No, not to individual, like, it wasn't emailed to parents as a whole, it was just probably in your
It was
newsletter.
emailed in mass, yeah.
There was a link to your.
It was like a Google form.
I think if maybe you want better participation, we should send it out as an email, not in a link in a newsletter.
Yeah, or maybe higher up, yeah, because, obviously neither of us saw it.
yeah. So the other thing, the more exciting thing was the new family meetings. I was set in, as Evan said, on all but I think 2. I think I had to be a parent in one of them. I saw it from both angles. I think they're going really well. Families we have had so far are all just tremendous. I think we're getting some really great families. I think Devin would agree. So for each meeting, we kept the same process that I think the board wanted us to use, was to, sort of start off with how did families find out about us. We got varying responses. I don't think we had anyone directly say it was from our advertising that we had.
No, a lot of the families that we're meeting with now were people who signed up in January kind of thing. So a lot of them are still verbalizing word of mouth or,
Somebody knew somebody.
Yeah, somebody knew somebody. We actually had, I was surprised at this. We had, I think, 2 families say that they picked up one of the flyers that I put in some of the places around like the restaurants and
Oh,
things.
there's like a day, one family.
Oh, yeah, the daycare. I forgot they
Uh,
dropped flyers off in different places, so.
We have some families that are previous homeschool families. I do remember a couple of families like that. They seem like great families. I think there's a military family, maybe
Probably multiple.
So we asked, questions like, if there are any special needs or behavioral issues, just so that we're aware. We haven't run into any red flags in that regard. Like I said, all the families that are coming seem to be wonderful families, and we're excited about it.
In an effort to promote the 40 hours of volunteerism, we also asked like how involved parents wanted to be and reminded them of this policy so that they kind of like were amped to be a part of things. Kind of shared with them that we feel like kind of COVID was one time that kind of dropped off and we're trying to really get back to that. And so families were really receptive to that. So I think it'll be a nice hope to kind of get jumpstart, and maybe it won't be the same 8 women doing the stuff that we have done around here. It'll be like a plethora of people. That's the goal. So.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, we got a lot of questions around the academics of the school, excited to, for their students to be challenged. Excited about, that we, that we have a lot of kids that are here for the right reason, for ready to learn, so excited about that.
How did you feel about it as a parent?
I thought it was wonderful. I mean, it was, my wife hadn't really met Devin that much, and it was nice to face with the principal. And from my understanding, from a lot of the parents, doesn't always happen at all schools where that, so a lot of them really appreciated that. If they wanted a second tour or a third tour, we gave them another tour, let them in their student's classroom. So I think parents are really receptive to the open door, come sit down and talk. And then we finished every meeting with what can, what are you expecting from us?
Yeah, what do you want from us?
Yeah.
You're bringing a kid here, what do you want from us?
So Turner, is your son already a kindergartner?
He is.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely.
Wild.
That's crazy. God.
Yeah, pretty soon you'll be an 8th grader, get ready for that.
Starts college next week.
Yeah.
Well, everything shows wonderful support at the school. Yeah, no, that's really what makes me happy.
What were some of the things that they expect from us?
Great question.
Most people didn't really say a lot of things, actually. I felt like that was gonna be like a home run hit question, and a lot of people, their kind of response was like, well, it's kind of what you're presenting, right? Like, I mean, that wasn't their exact words, but the summary of it was basically like high academic standards, uniform school, high behavioral expectations, like the things that we kind of talked about, and it was like, that was kind of like what they were seeking. So it kind of aligned with what questions we were asking. I didn't really run into anybody that, necessarily came up with a different answer. Most people were, especially kindergarten parents, were very much like, I just want to make sure that my baby's taken care of. Those sort of like expectations, everybody's safe, those sorts of things, the basic
I
things.
quote my wife said, she
Yeah.
said, I want a decent human being, she left the bar.
Okay, human being, actually, because I promised her that we could produce an okay human being. So I felt strongly enough that we could do that.
Well, I think it's great. It sounds like our reputation is turning a
Not bad.
corner. That's really great.
I would agree with that. We've gotten actually, Corey sent me an email, I want to say yesterday or the day before, that one of the families that we've met with had also met with Isaac from the Club Osprey, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And that she had told Corey how wonderful she thought the interactions were, and was going around telling people how great the communication was and how things were going. So, when you get emails like that, people go out of their way to say those things. That feels good. So I think we're doing hopefully we're turning that image back around.
Good. And so of the 104 new applications, how many families have you already met with?
That's a good question. Corey's keeping track of that stuff. We don't have a specific.
I have some notes.
You can go through
It's
those.
definitely now we're near 100.
Yeah.
I think we probably met with 20, maybe a few more.
I would guess in the 30s or 40s. but,
Okay.
I'm not really sure.
Can you get the final number or the number you're at now?
Yeah, I actually talked to Corey about it today. She's working on that today. She's going through, after tomorrow, because I think we have 3 meetings tomorrow, family meetings tomorrow. She's gonna go through and identify all the families that haven't been or haven't done, and she's gonna send a correspondence of 2 emails and make a phone call to try to get them in here before school still. So we're working on that. We had a conversation on what that looked like today.
And a lot of the families have multiple children too.
Yeah, like a couple families we've had have like 4 kids coming in. So while it's 104 kids, that would only equate like 25 families. So it does feel like we're, a lot of families are coming in with multiple kids.
So can you let me know tomorrow the number of not families, but I guess students that have been checked off that 104 list?
Yeah, I can ask Corey for it. I think we can meet that. Any other questions about new family meetings? Cool, thank you, Mr. Watts. C is just,
Sorry, one question. Is Mr. West, you're still gonna come to the board meetings, right? Or
If
not?
I am asked to be at the board meetings, I will be at the board meetings.
Okay.
That's more of a, what the board wants to do, probably something that you guys could discuss how you want that, because I'm no longer the voting member, so what is my role?
I just thought, since you would, in your new role being in charge of discipline and stuff, you could come in and fill us in on, I mean, if you want to,
Have a report.
yeah,
As an administrator.
because there's gonna be split duties, right? Like you're gonna be more on the disciplinary part of it.
But I'm still gonna oversee it.
Well, he works,
Yeah.
yeah, he works for Devin, so.
Yeah.
If Devin feels necessary to have him here report, then we can talk.
Just in case there's one, however you.
Yeah, I can talk to Devin.
Yeah. We can work through that. Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, so, update on the Osprey Club, we are up and running, we, have already gotten, a pretty large, interest within it. We are, to my knowledge, currently fully staffed, with our positions, we're gonna have a director, and then, it's basically two people doing one position, because they're working different days, as that support. But within the first 24 hours of getting it up, we had 11 families that submitted applications for it, which actually our goal number was 16, and none of the 11 families were the 16 from last year. So Isaac was reeling through to reach out to them to up that number. So we feel really good about it. We've had to take some different things on, like we had to purchase like a pay system, a way people could pay us to actually receive payment. Because that was all done through the foundation and other operations, so we're having to get some stuff up and running, but it seems like from our meetings, because Mr. Watson's been on those meetings too, it feels like it's getting up and running really nicely. We'll start taking payment in early August because we're getting that stuff set up, but we've already got the forms, the kids. And I have a meeting tomorrow with Isaac and an art program to be part of the curriculum during it, so we're really moving along. I'm really excited about the Osprey Club, and I think it's gonna give us a whole different after-school ability. Our after-school coordinator, just a side note, our after-school coordinator, our after-school volunteer coordinator, she's no longer in that role, so currently Ms. Shaw is making sure that our after-school program has something for Q1, but I have asked the parent foundation to actually create a position on the parent foundation that helps run the after-school program. That way there would be a lot of parent voice in that, and we could talk through what that looked like each time. So the president was gonna go back and see if they felt like they had the capacity to take that on. If not, I got some ideas on who that person might be, but wanted to just share that really quickly as well. Any questions about those things?
One, you said that we're hoping and shooting for 16, is that our cap or what's it?
No, we don't have a cap. 16 makes the budget that I presented in front of you guys. Anything above that will be a better budget off that.
So there's no limit on the amount of students that can,
No, we've actually talked about, we have a belief that we may push into the 30s or 40s. And if that's the case, we may need to bring on additional staff to manage that. So we've already talked through what that would look like. We currently have 2 people doing one spot. We would be able to pull one of those people to do full-time and the other person to do those 2 days. We'd have to bring another person to fill the 2 other days. So we've already talked through what that looks like, because we do anticipate, honestly, after back to school night, which I could be wrong on the date, but I think it's like maybe the 27th, I'm not sure. But we're gonna have booths set up all around for the different after-school things, and there's an assumption that that will jump, because that's when the YMCA would take a jump. When they would do back to school night, so we assume that there's gonna be a little bit of a jump in that too. And so we'll get, we'll have better numbers and understanding of what kind of support we need at that point.
And what is the break-even number as far as the cost that we would have to?
16,
supplement?
it was all built off that number
No,
16.
I know, but that we then, because I think was in the understanding, we're supplementing it right now.
Mhm.
And so.
Oh, you
what
mean to get the whole
would we-
thing to be functional?
Exactly.
I don't have that number in front of me. I
Okay.
apologize. It is some stuff we
Do you
ran.
have a guesstimate as to what it might be around?
Yeah, I think that number is like 60 or 65. So I
Oh, okay.
do remember running the number, but it was a substantially bigger number. But I did think that eventually we would be able to work our way towards that, especially with our 1-day option that we're giving families.
Mhm.
and can you find that number and send it out?
Yeah.
That's really nice that there's no cap and it's open to as many students as.
And I've heard some good feedback just from, parents and the community.
And the cost is
Substantially better.
Yes.
super reasonable.
Well, and I think the other thing is like, Isaac is coming to us from the YMCA, so he's running the program much like the YMCA did. I mean, we continue to talk through what did the YMCA do for this and, you know, what are we gonna do for this? And I think that there's some of the feedback I've heard, although I've heard very little feedback about it, I don't wanna be upfront about that, but some of the feedback I've heard is that it's comfortable because it's him. It's not somebody else coming in, like, everybody knows who that person is and he's been around, so.
And that's a question I get, who's Isaac?
Yeah.
It's the person that was there before.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden people feel good about that, right?
Yeah,
Like they know who that is.
It's funny too, because it's like, they didn't know who it was,
Yeah.
the YMCA before.
Put his picture out. there.
Yeah, exactly, remember the guy you picked your kids up from school with, from, for 2 years?
Just one last thing, since you talked about back to school night and the booze. The thought was for you family night, if we could invite the uniform store to come down here.
I can ask. I don't know if they do that.
Or even if we could
The-
just get a selection of the sizes
Well,
for parents to kind of,
the youth store will be running during that new family and kindergarten night.
At the uniform store with the new uniforms.
Yeah, that one, I'll have to ask them. I don't know that they do that. Maybe we can get some samples that they can try on. I'm sure that they'd be open to that. I know they just came and got all of our inventory.
I mean,
within
to
the last
sell
week.
like an actual table to sell. the
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they do that.
Because if not, like families drive out to La Mesa or pay for shipping.
yeah, I
It might
mean,
just
it's
be
still worth an
convenient.
ask.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
Cause in the past, a lot of parents would, you know, you see what's reused and then you buy new.
Yeah.
And
Something,
so,
sure.
because, so that would be awesome, but at least if there's sizes so that people can.
And you're talking about new family night, not back to school night, right?
I thought new family night, because those are the families that don't have.
No, I thought so too. I just was making sure if I gave them a date, I was making sure I had the date that we were talking about.
And
Okay.
it's open to the whole school, so.
Cause isn't this new family night usually is the same as the used uniform sale, is that the case this year?
We've never, at least since I've been here, we haven't had a new family night. We've only had kindergarten night. We're just, as a process of trying to welcome the new families in, we're opening up that night to be for all grades. And we're gonna require the teachers to be here, for that evening so that the new families can actually come in and talk to the teacher. You
Oh, I
know,
didn't realize, when I came, which was not that
that was
long
before
ago,
me.
yeah, but there was new family night.
Oh, nice.
I didn't realize that had stopped. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
so-
I'm glad you're bringing it back.
Yeah, we felt like it was a great way to welcome families in. The foundation really wanted us to put together some sort of like welcome committee type thing. And so we sat through and talked about what that looked like. And one of the things we wanted to do was have a night. And so we felt like it was appropriate to tack it to kindergarten night because those are new families also coming in. And I shared with the new families, pretty much grades 1st through 7th, that one thing I have noticed about this school is that because families come in kindergarten, there are these groups of friends that kind of go through, and new kids have trouble coming in sometimes and getting into those friends groups. So one of the goals of the new family night is if there's new kids coming into the grade, they're gonna spend some time together and at least know someone when they come in and maybe have a connection. So that was part of our hope with it as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it was done before too, that it was the same with kindergarten and kids med. So that's great. I'm glad you're restarting that.
Any other questions on item C or the conversation around it? Okay, I did provide you guys the district site visit report. Pushed it out so you guys could see it, shared it. I know that Miriam and Bob were part of that, so these were just the report. I have until I think the end of August to submit a response to it that goes to the school board there. I've done that the last 2 years from when I came in and then last year. I'll do that again. So if there are things that you want in that response after you've read it, please let me know. So anything on the site visit report?
That could, for the first page, academic year 23 to 24, it said their total enrollment was 211. Is that like day one?
Most of those go off day one.
Is that? I was just wondering, because the numbers seem high as to what we were discussing.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even catch that. But now that I'm looking at it, it says for instance, they're at grade 731, so that had to be.
Yeah.
Because we never had it.
Yeah, because it's in our limit 30.
Well, technically, our limit is not 30. So what actually is in all charter schools is you have the ability to go up like 20 kids from what your charter says, maybe even it's 30 kids, that they're allowed. We've never been around that since I've been here. No, so we could have like a total of 290 in our school. And nobody would have any issue with that.
Oh, I see.
But that's not been anything that we've toyed with or had go on here. So I do know that there was a class last year, although I don't think it was 7th grade, that we did initially start with 31, but there was already preconceived knowledge that there was some kids leaving. So we already knew that it was going to be under 30.
And I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't make this report, they sent it to one.
Yeah, I didn't have anything to do
So
with this
you can
report.
correct these, verify these numbers and correct like the 31, for example. Right, when you respond to them, you said.
I could, but the stuff that I respond to is like how we're going to fix anything that they put in the report.
Right, but don't you would want it to be an accurate report if we're signing off and finalizing it, and if 31 isn't an accurate number,
We don't sign off on this.
okay, or it doesn't get filed somewhere, or.
It does with the district.
So shouldn't-
This is their document.
Right, shouldn't we want it to be accurate if we're responding back to them?
Yeah, but I think like at some point, probably like. I can only speak for the 2 years I've been here, but at one point, both these numbers were correct. It's just a matter of when they pull it. So if they get us to P1, if they get us to P2, they get us on opening day, it really just depends on when they're pulling us, and I don't know when that is.
No, I guess my point is that if we have an opportunity to respond to this and clear anything up or correct, or for the record, say, hey, these are wrong, not just that, but read through it and make sure that there's no misrepresentation of what our school.
He would have to know when they pulled the numbers to be
Right.
able
Yeah.
to fix that.
Yeah.
So we don't know that.
Or he could send it back with the numbers as of the date certain,
Right,
letting them know that he didn't know. He doesn't know what day they pulled, but as of the date of the meeting,
I'm actually gonna go out on a limb here and say that this is what our budget was built on. The numbers our budget at different points was built on, which would be the number that they would calculate from. I'm only saying that because the 239, which would have been 2 years ago. That was a number that originally the budget was built on, but then we dropped by like 15 kids or something like that.
that's right.
So I think that may be where they're getting these numbers as I'm sitting here thinking.
it says enrollment. Enrollment, and then it shows the decline and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, my point is just, I would think that we would want it to be correct and accurate. Especially if we have a chance to,
Well, we don't know it's not correct and accurate for the date they pulled
okay,
it.
but not just. Ignore just the table right now, I'm saying for the entire report, if there's any other errors that anybody catches, you would.
Yeah, it's my job to address anything that I think they put in there that is not correct about us. Like I have to, you don't have to write a written response, but I do because I think we should have a voice in what goes into the report. So anything I feel like they've, like I think as an example, last year, they put that I had sent out my newsletter, but it mentioned Mr. C and it went to Ms. Badillo's email to people that didn't work there. So they didn't know, like they basically in the report made it sound like I had fabricated these emails. But what had happened is when I sent it to the newsletter, I was receiving Laura Badillo's emails. So it had her name at the top from receiving the newsletter. And it was when Mr. C was working with us on the project with the parents. So he was in the newsletter that I wrote about. And it was like, all this was accurate, but they made it sound like, and so I was very clear in saying like, no, this was the process in which why these people were involved.
Yeah, you corrected it for the record
Right.
for, yeah,
Correct.
yeah, so that's what my,
Yeah, that's what I do in the report.
Yeah, great.
Any other questions? Then the last one, I really don't have anything to report on. This was just requested from Miriam to have the district compliance calendar issued to the board. So I wanted to do that and I wanted to put it on the board notes so everybody saw that had occurred. So this is just their compliance paperwork, what they require from us in the course of the year.
and so on the last one, it's when it says due in Epic Center, assume like the second one, for example, we can assume that's been submitted.
Everything for the July 1st date has been submitted, yes.
Okay.
The only thing that is was kicked back to us was the LCAP, and so we get an email every Monday probably that says it's past due, not submitted, but we had to have this meeting in order to be able to submit it, so. Once it's approved, we should be able to submit tomorrow.
Okay, and this is just so the board can have it, so we're not. This was from the trauma of that district meeting, just being caught off guard of not knowing that we weren't submitting. I have it written down some quarter financial something rather that we didn't submit. That's why I asked that we all have a copy of this, so we can also track or ask questions. for every
They
board
wanted the
meeting.
board to know what every
Yeah.
deadline is from them.
Yeah,
That's-
Okay,
That's,
excellent, that's
that
great.
gives it to us right there.
Yeah, that's great.
That's all I got.
Alright.
Other than I'm really excited about the enrollment, I just want to say that, I saw those numbers today. And I was super pumped because like I said, it grew about like 8 or 10 since I saw it earlier in the month, so.
alright. Consent actions. So we have 3.
I move we approve the LCAP.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, any opposed? Any abstentions? No, okay, passed. B,
We don't have the. It's not Mark's.
okay,
Mark started today in his job.
alright,
Do we have check registers?
That's what they just did.
No, they approved the annual update. They approved it.
Mhm.
You need to-
So wait, but was that on the, which one did we approve? But we
You
approved,
needed to approve the annual update, and you needed to approve an amendment to the 24-25 LCAP.
Right, that's what I thought we just did.
but is that on
LCAP
the,
updates, that's what it says.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
and I put it that way, so
We're
it was dual, so yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. That's okay.
do we have March and April checks?
No, I am not sure. If, I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought those were approved. I thought those were approved in the last meeting, so I'm not sure why those were on there. I just saw them when we sat down. Me neither. I don't have a running record of this in my head to be honest, but I think that we
Can
did.
you find out?
Yeah, yeah, of
or-
course.
and do we have the minutes?
Those we don't have. Those are with Daniel right now. They're still under
Okay.
Daniel.
Okay, so you'll find that out.
Yep. Yep.
Then you'll get that. And then you'll get that, dollar amount for, that Judy asked a question for, and how many meetings you've done with the new families out of the 104?
Yep, I got those.
Students, not parents.
Yeah, I got those.
Cool.
We're also getting to meet the students in those meetings, like, the families are bringing their kids in most cases, so we're getting to, yeah, which is the way I would prefer it. I
We
mean,
get a tour of the school.
yeah, they get, in most cases, they get a tour. Most of them have already toured. I'm meeting them again for the second or third time because they've toured with us, but the kids are coming in and it's nice to get to see them too and see like what that looks like, so,
And it's nice the kids get to meet you.
Yes.
So they're-
and Mr. Watts, I think
Mr.
that's.
Watts.
Yeah.
And explaining his role and what we're each doing. It's funny because the parents will say something like, you don't want to come to this office, you know, like. It's the only time you're allowed to be here, those sorts of things there, so it's funny. Okay, cool.
And are you having them sign anything off saying like, in acknowledgement of having this meeting, or it's not?
But there's records that they.
They invite.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that we've done it so far has accepted the invite and it's in like our, sign up genius right now.
Perfect. All right, closed session.
No, I wanted to ask, how did,
Or wait, hold on, Devin.
yeah, just 1 second. We have 8th graders already on the list for the student member. I was wondering how you guys went about it, because we started that. And we did like a vote, the kids, somebody, the boys and girls would stand up and who wanted to do
You're
it.
talking
give-
about the rep, right, for the board?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna reel that question to Mr. Watts, because Mr. Watts.
Bridget, I'm actually really glad that you brought that up and there was no side conversation.
Oh, no, I'm just
No.
saying this. I just looked and says, how did we already pick it? Because we used to make it a vote.
I missed the question. What's the question?
And that,
How did the
I can
student
see the
representatives
eighth grade
get paid?
Ambassadors are here.
because that was something I brought up with Devin prior, actually, it was like the day before that meeting when it was announced, and because there were, I'm not gonna say complaints, but concerns amongst parents, not just in eighth grade, but in other grades, that there has been a repetition of student representatives, like some kids have been it for 3 years in a row in multiple grades. And the thought was like, why are we like, everybody would like to have that experience and that opportunity. And to Bridget's point, in eighth grade, it wasn't voted on, which when it was announced in that meeting, it was kind of like, our conversation was like, it's too late, what can we do about it?
Are you doing it in every class now? They have a representative? in every class?
Third through eighth, or
Really?
for principal advisory.
And how are they chosen?
See, because we started that with Elliot's grade,
They're voted.
and they went
So-
up and gave a speech, you know,
So they-
like running for office, and then the
And that's
kids.
how it
voted.
So Bridget, he's answering your question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but.
Sorry, they are voted for. I know that for the upcoming board representatives, it's done in Ms. Fernandez class because she teaches civics.
But that was
Fernandez,
voted
I
on.
think it used to
I,
be.
I wasn't there. I have no idea. I know that there was some, I feel like she expressed, just thinking back to conversations that they could pick up in dismissal, that it was not a good process this time because, and I think she felt that she needed to step in and, help push things in the right direction, but I'm not sure. I did not know there was any conflict. I thought the two that were selected were good representatives.
I don't know him from Adam, but I just remember like the first week of school, that was the hype thing, like who's gonna run and the kids are gonna vote on who they think is.
And I remember that because when my oldest started.
Because my daughter
started
didn't get it.
in fourth grade, she was
And
talking
she
about
was-
making banners, and my dad's like, I'll print you flyers, like, you're right, like, it's this whole big.
Like election,
like,
they were
yeah,
running for
exactly,
office.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
so I was
that
just
died.
wondering, I like to see where things have changed or
I think
whatever.
that in years past, there's always been, they want to run for the position, they have to write a speech.
Yeah, exactly.
And
They
that,
wrote a
that does, I don't know what happened this year.
Since
Yeah, I don't.
since it's a board element, does the board want to set a policy for how it's done?
I mean, if we need to, I thought that it was just, the way it's done is that they voted and how it was done. in the
Well, her
grade.
So I
saying
can
they
speak-
did vote.
It's eighth grade.
I can-
I don't think they voted.
I can't speak how eighth grade did it this year. When Mr. Watts announced, the eighth grade members at the last board meeting, my neck kind of flipped because I didn't know that had happened. I think you saw that.
Yeah, I saw it, 'cause we
Um,
caught each other's eyes, we had just. talked
Yeah, we
about
just
it.
talked about it, but I do know that third through eighth grade, each grade has had a different way of going about it. As an example, I know in fourth grade, it used to be that, kids were assigned and they weren't even assigned for the whole quarter. They would be assigned for maybe a month and then a new two kids, and it was rotated. In other classes, I know that they voted for them and they were in that for the whole year. In other classes, they voted each quarter and brought new people to me. Eighth grade has maintained the same two people the whole year, since I've been here, because they're on the board also. But I don't know how they went about that process as I
I
chair.
can assure you that I'm 99.9% sure there was no voting done in eighth grade for the reasons I don't know. But I do know that a lot of parents were unhappy, and we might want to revisit, doing it the way we've always done it in the past, where, they do their speech, and because it's a good experience for them to do a
And then
speech.
learning
So I
about-
raised the question, we want to set a policy.
That's what I was.
I think it would be good that the board set a policy for
Yeah.
principals advisory and the eighth grade board members.
So why
I'm,
don't,
I'm gonna interject on that one. Bob, I think the eighth grade board members is a great idea for policy, but for the other ones, like third through seventh, I don't think that you guys, my personal opinion is that shouldn't come from you guys, because they're not interacting.
It should come
For the
from
balance.
you,
Just for the eighth
But I
grade.
just
Yeah,
think,
I agree.
I just think it should be consistent.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's different introductions at different grade levels. That's the reason I hear you, but I don't know that I completely
And
agree, but it
different-
is your guys' decision. In the long run, you guys.
and different understandings of what what it's about, right? A different experience with it as they come up through the grades.
Mhm.
So I was only talking about the board representative.
Yeah.
If we want to set a policy, why don't we, why don't
It's
we,
super cool. I meet with them every month and we talk about.
why don't we recommend that he generate a draft policy and then we'll approve it?
Okay.
Sounds good.
Because we did it for the eighth graders, and it was kind of a step up to high school, so they knew how to represent themselves, how to write a letter and talk about what they're gonna do.
And put it on their application
And
for
put it
high school,
on the
so it's
ID.
another.
So can we,
And that's how we did it. It was a private vote.
I was just gonna, Mr. Webb, can we just, are we able to do a redo for eighth grade board reps and vote the class vote and?
Well, I think at this point, though, you've been taking something away
I think that too.
from.
Well, I think maybe we need to know how they were elected.
Yeah. Because
Let's
they
find out how, and if it was,
I think we need to talk to Miss Fernandez and find
Yeah.
out what happened, because I can't speak to it because I wasn't there.
exactly. Let's find out what
Those
happened
were
in the board.
folks that- Those were the students that were selected, so I don't know.
To Miriam's point, it is the same two that have been in those spots the last 2 years with. the
3 years.
principal advisors. So
I think.
this would be year 3. I don't know about before. I'm starting year 3, so the last 2 years they've been on principal
I
advisory.
think I know one of them has been 3 years.
So we're directing him to investigate the last vote and to come up with a policy that we can approve for going forward.
I would recommend for I think for the eighth graders that are gonna be on the board, it should be. In fact, I think they should come to a board meeting and present their speeches, because that shows that they
That's
should
great.
come. to
That's a good
board
idea.
meeting.
Put
That
that
can
in
be part of
policy.
the policy.
Put that in the policy.
And it shows that they are willing to come to that time of night, and it shows, that the board would have a say in voting it, because I don't think a student should be excluded because they've done it previous years. If they're good at it, I mean, they should still have the opportunity.
Oh, it's not, yeah, I don't think anybody's saying that. I just think that there might have been, and maybe it's something for further discussion and close, that in the past, it was a vote, is what the understanding was, and maybe many children were excited for that possibility. And then
I can speak,
it's the understanding, at least what we hear from other students,
I can
you know,
speak
from our students.
speak
they're
to
like-
that seventh grade class, because they did vote for the previous year, because they did it in my class, because they were not going into when they were coming into.
Yeah,
seventh.
now I remember the votes in past years,
Okay.
and those people were gonna be there.
So can
Good.
you'll drop that policy, hopefully before the beginning of the year, so we can approve it.
Well, it would be approved at a board meeting that's after the beginning of the year, because our next board meeting is after the start of the school year.
Okay, well,
But
for,
I can bring it for the
for the
August
next
meeting. Yeah.
meeting. And then you'll find out how those elections, or
Yeah, well.
not elections, because there was no election, but how that.
Yeah.
Process.
Yeah, you'll get that from
Yeah.
Mr.
Because we
Fernandez.
could- from there, we can figure out if we need to have an election.
Yes,
And I know
I never.
there's more than half of the class. There was like some petition possibly to go around about wanting to redo and have an election happen.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna path forward.
Or with the poll, yeah.
Very good.
Are we ready to close now?
Yeah.
Miriam?
Are you guys ready?
Yeah,
Ready?
sorry. Sidebar.
Sorry.
extended closed session, we invited two community members to make a report and a presentation. We had one disciplinary discussion for closed, no action items. Thank you. Maybe you can start closing.